One, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So today I'm with Jeremy Garner, Sky Gloria, and Ari Aurelia, and they are some of the teachers and the guides in the Academy of Sacred Sound, which is happening on February 15th. And it's basically a 1 month digital retreat that will help us tune into our sacred sound of our heart and express our authentic voice. So we're going to be talking about tuning the body like an instrument on a physical level, and then moving into spirit and opening our chakras so we can actually hear music from other realms. And we're going to talk about trance channeling and like working with spirit guides, and it's going to be intense. I can already feel it. So yeah, thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's really good to be here. I'm so excited for this whole course.
me too.
Yeah, me too.
I wonder if it's recording. I just see Jeremy. Not that I don't want to see you. Like I just.
I think
it says recording, but I can only see one
between.
at a time.
Okay.
There is actually a way to see, like, I can't remember how to do it though.
You gotta find
Okay.
like,
Okay, no, it's working. It's working. Okay, it's working.
Oh, it is?
Right.
Yeah. So I knew I had to invite you guys to be the teachers because I've been listening to your collaborations, and they're just so beautiful. I feel like I'm like flying in space, and like just like it's so ethereal.
Yeah, so
like it makes me cry. The songs just make me cry. I'm like, they're so familiar.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just love them. Do you want to talk a little bit about your music journey? Like, I know you have both been producing and singing and songwriting and playing instruments for so long. How did you get into that? Like, anyone want to start? Like, how did you
first?
Do you want to go first, or I can? I don't mind.
You can go first.
Okay. Well, when I first started making music, it was like I didn't even have instruments as such. It was just like I just knew, I could feel it in my soul. Like there was basically, it all started when I started like automatic writing at the back of a class in high school. And I just was so bored there and kind of going into a trance because of the fact that it was like just so boring. So I just started sort of scribbling out words, and it was all related to some ancient tribes somewhere in some previous lifetime. And it was all kind of flowing with all of these memories that came back. And immediately after I read that, I was like, I need to translate some of these memories into music. But I didn't know how to do that. So I used to just make all of these sounds just with my mouth. I just had like a simple like multi-track recorder, and I just kept adding sounds like that and like chants and things like that. And then I slowly just brought in instruments and things just to sort of bring more of that out. But for the first many years of making music, I was really trying to just tap into these memories of other lifetimes, and I was using the music to try and remember, because I think sound has like so many remembrances with it. Like you said, when you hear the songs, it's like you connect to them and it makes you cry or whatever. That's how it was for me when I would make certain songs. It's like it would remind me of like visions and previous experiences. So that's why I was making music for the purpose of trying to remember more of what my soul is here to do, I think. So that's how I got started with it.
Wow. So you recorded on like actual like tapes? Like, is that
digital? It was digital, but just I only had like a microphone, and I just didn't use instruments for quite a while. I just made what I called like mouth music. It was just like random like sounds and stuff. But then I slowly started bringing in like instruments, and just I don't know. I've been working on it for so many years now, and just slowly perfecting it as an art form. But now I start to receive them in dreams and go into trances and have all of these other deeper experiences, because I think the more we develop our abilities, the more we can receive more, more information that we can translate in a better way. So yeah.
Wow. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, it's similar to my story. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I had to.
Yeah.
What about you, Aurelia?
Mine's probably slightly different. When I was very small, there was a piano in my house, and I used to play around on it, and I would hear songs like in my head, and then I'd hear songs like around in different places, and I would like repeat what I heard. And then I realized that wasn't actually necessarily normal for everyone to like play by ear. So then I did that for like some years, and then it wasn't till 2014 that I started singing, and what I would call in my true soul voice. Before then, like I did sing and like I played piano and I really enjoyed that. And I was really connected to like Mozart and like Beethoven and stuff like that. And I would sit and learn like the full songs like by ear. And I would just be so moved by it, like the classical music and the kind of the like minor chords and things like that. And then I started to like sing a bit and I would kind of shape my style and like try and sound a certain way. And then it was just out of the blue, like in 2014, I just had this, like, I was just moved like from within, and suddenly I just found my voice, like it just came out and it was really big and it was really powerful and so different from anything before that. And I recorded it, and I remember one of the songs I recorded then called Tumbling Towers, and it's one of my favorite songs still, like that I wrote like lyrically and stuff. And yeah, I don't think I still have the original recording, but I managed to record it, and I recorded it all in like one take. And that was my first experience with like channeling music.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I wish I could play more by ear on the piano. I'm learning it.
What has been your music journey like? How did you first come into it, or when did you? Because I think when I first met you, I don't even know if you were making. Maybe
yeah,
you were.
I think I always liked music. Yeah, I started to when I was like 26, and then I was kind of stoned, and then I was like I fell to the floor. I was laughing. I was like, I'm gonna make music. Like I'm gonna make it. And I had this vision of the future, and I was like, well, okay, I better get started. I'm gonna start producing and like figure out how to produce, because I couldn't play instruments. I couldn't sing that well. I didn't think I could anyway, and people told me I sucked. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just produce like the nerd I am. And then I started that, and I didn't know what I was doing really, but it felt good. And then producers kind of told me I needed to get better, and it was really painful, but I needed to hear it. And then I kind of sought out mentors, and it just kind of grew into me singing and learning how to sing, and learning instruments. And I just love the guitar now. I feel like the guitar is my instrument, but who knows?
I love it too.
I never thought I would play guitar either. It just kind of
it's so cool that you have
me.
picked that up, and I've seen how much you've progressed. Like it's just been amazing just to watch that happen. I remember when I first started guitar, that I started learning it at a very young age, and I had like a guitar that had the strings really far off the fretboard, so it was really hard to press the chords, and it was like it made it so much more difficult to learn, but it was actually so much better in the long run, because then it made it so much easier once I finally got a guitar that actually kind of worked. But yeah, Aurelia and I have been talking recently about just like production in general, and how sometimes production has taken away from the essence of the expression of music too, and how sometimes music is like flowing through us in this very deep way, and then we have to kind of organize it in a way that's going to make sense, or that it's going to be clean as a recording. But then sometimes in doing that, you can lose some of that original power that you get from it, which is why I think live music at times, with real musicians playing, can actually sometimes be more powerful than what you will hear on an album or whatever, because it's just this, it's like there's bigger room, there's more room for sound. So we've been trying to figure out a good way of like balancing those two things of like production and getting that good and clear and everything, while at the same time also not losing that essence and that that important thing that comes out with just raw expression.
Yeah. That's exactly what I've been thinking about too. It's like you get so good at producing, you kind of you're too perfect, or you're trying to make all the notes perfect, or just tune everything, and then there's no life in the songs. It's like,
I know, and it can trap you on this thing, because like I would used to add all these things, and then it's like I want it to be louder and I want to add more impact, and I do that, and then it's like then it says no, you can't do that. If you add too much, then it's all distorting, and you're like, but I need to add this because this is really important. And then it's like, how do you balance it out to get that same effect? So it's been interesting to like balance this out and try to learn a middle ground with it.
It's a dance. Between
exactly.
I know you're both into magic. Obviously, I'm pretty open about that too. I think music is magic, a form of magic.
Absolutely.
And like I know I like I'm very a ritual person. I feel like when I'm doing music as well, like I definitely connect to spirits. It's just, you know, they want to come in. You're a channel, yeah. And if I don't clear myself, like sometimes I'll pick up spirits in the room. Like I'm like, oh my God. Like I was recording today and like this kind of like dark, bassy, demonic voice was coming out of the speakers. And I was like, God. Okay, maybe it's just the room. And then like I got like then it stopped. And I was like,
at the stage.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know. There was actually some dark forces in the room before, dark people. So I was like, okay, yeah, sage the room, sage yourself. How do you enter into trance states and like make sure you're safe when you are doing that kind of like channeling work and, you know? Anybody?
First. Well, do you want to go first or will I go first?
No, you go first.
Okay, yeah. Well, I would say I'm quite unconventional when it comes to things like that. Like people have always said kind of like keep yourself safe and stuff, and I'm just kind of like, oh no, I'm already safe. So I don't know, I guess it's kind of like the belief in that, and I just like intend to connect to my own heart and like my own higher self. So I think that intention in itself like already creates that clear space. Yeah.
It's the exact same approach for me. The first part that you said about I've very rarely worried too much about opening myself up to those forces. I actually really enjoy doing that, and I've never really felt too much danger from it. It's part of the fun of music for me. And yeah, like connecting to the heart obviously is a really important aspect of it. But yeah, like it depends on, I guess it all depends on your intention or where your energy or vibration is at the time. Because I mean, I have brought through really dark spirits at times making music, if that's the kind of music that I'm trying to make. And other times it's been really light. And it just depends on where your intention is at. But I tend to just, it's weird to try and break down how you go into a trance sometimes, because it's just like, by the time you're in it, it's already happened and you don't really know how you did it. It's just like you start to enter into it. And I think it happens from just being open to and receptive. It's like a very receptive state. Like you kind of take away your mind and you just sort of blank it a bit, and you just kind of like there with an instrument and you allow it to kind of flow. And sometimes if there are spirits there, you will just kind of feel them start to take over what you're doing in a way. I'm not quite sure how it works though. It just kind of happens, and then I'll fall into a trance and like hours will go by, like 12 hours or something, and I'll just like wake up and there'll be a song like just finished, and it'll be like hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, I do that with producing a lot too. I guess because I've gotten so good at it, like pretty good at it, that I can kind of enter into a flow state. I guess that's
right.
Trance state, flow state, and I think I mean, just setting the attention and asking asking source or whatever, your guides to be with you. Or I work with, sometimes I work with dead people too. I'm like, use me, sing through me.
I did that very recently. I just made a whole album from a friend of mine that had passed away, and I found out a year later. I didn't realize for that whole time. And once I realized, that was the way that I was able to kind of process through a lot of those, just the emotions of remembering just a few conversations that I'd had with her that had actually just been really significant to me. And so that was the way in which I could process that. And as soon as I started doing that, she started coming through in dreams, like giving me like messages and telling me different things and stuff. And I just started to put that into the music. And other times when I've been making darker music, like it does really call in dark spirits. And when your question before was about protecting yourself, and I've never really done that too much until I guess a bit more recently. But I think the best way to protect is by just having your intention in a higher place, or like just pursuing a higher type of music if that's what you want. But if you're not concerned and you do want to explore the dark, then that just comes with the territory. Like I have been scratched down my back by demons while making music, like 3 claws like bleeding off my back. And things like that literally happen to me while I'm making music. And it's like sometimes that just is part of the territory if you're making that kind of music. So it's more about what you're trying to achieve or whatever.
Yeah, I think you can, it's not like the worst thing to explore your shadow. I like aggressive music. I love being aggressive, like through music, because I can't punch people in real life. Like it's fun sometimes, as long as you're doing it safely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have that dynamic, like the really high highs and like the low lows as well. I love that. I like just love that. It's like my rising Scorpio.
Yeah, I've seen
It goes for the dynamic.
Like you've got this very angelic kind of music that just takes into these high vibrations, and then there's these more like shamanistic, very low tone and like very tribal, primal roots kind of stuff when I hear it. And it's like I felt a lot of that darkness and light coming through, which is something that really does draw me to that music as well, because I feel that in my soul.
I love that when you can be both. I think it takes a lot of mastery. Yeah. I think it takes a lot of mastery.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good. Do you have any advice for people looking to start creating, or just like the process of like the idea of like making a whole song or something like that, for someone who's never songwritten or sang like anything?
I would say first of all, probably to just take away any preconceived notions of what that song has to be. Because like, I think so many people think that there has to be a specific structure at times, and that can be good. I know in the course you mentioned that it's good to have a kind of structure, and then once you've got that, then you can be free. And I think that's a good approach too, and true. But then I think sometimes if you're just starting out completely, just being completely free with an instrument, just like with painting or art or drawing, like if you have somebody telling you, no, that's wrong, you have to do it this way, that's what starts to close people off. So I think like being open to like absolute freedom of expression without any kind of rules or any kind of concern for how you might sound or what you're doing, I think that would definitely open you up. Oh, is Lauren here? Hey.
Hey, Lauren. I've muted you for now just because we're doing interviews, but we'll talk in a minute. That's Aurelia?
Yeah, I would say something similar. I wasn't sure if you were going to say something. But yeah, like definitely take away any preconceived notions about like how you should sound, and like away from like trying to like shape your voice, and just play with like get used to like how you can make your voice sound naturally, and like your natural rhythm, and without thinking about like how other people are going to perceive it or anything like that. Like if you can get a space to yourself and just like literally like go wild and just like play with it, then it opens up the space to then explore and kind of maybe even more delicately like create as well.
Yeah, I think that's how the spirit of music is basically invoked, is through that freedom. And especially if you're in a group too, like if everybody's just absolutely free to express whatever's coming through, I think what would naturally happen is it would start to synchronize and harmonize, and there would just be this spirit that comes through it that starts to unify, and then eventually it really won't be you anymore that's doing it as such. It's something higher that works through us. Like we become the instruments playing the instruments and so on.
Wow. I got like goosebumps thinking about that. I actually have been in like spiritual, like culty kind of settings where everyone was like toning together, and you do like you like lift out of your body, like the vibe's so high. The vibe's so high. It's like, woo.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. Let's does anybody have any questions for about the course? Lauren or Hilmi or Noel, did you want to, you can chat or I can unmute you. Did you have any questions about the course, or for Jeremy or for Aurelia or anything like that? Or we'll just kind of keep going for a little bit longer. Did you have anything you want to talk about, Aurelia or Jeremy? Okay.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know where to sort of begin with that. Yeah, don't know. I don't have anything right up.
I got some more questions. I have my book.
Perfect.
I'm like trying to read my writing. It's so messed up. How do you deal with creative blocks? Like, you know, if you fall into a depression and you're purging darkness, and then like you can't see the light, and you're like, Jesus, like
being there many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually music that got me through these times. Like sometimes I feel like it just needs to be expressed, and sometimes a song will do that. Like I'll go to the piano and create something that ends up being really powerful, and just like let it all out if you can. Like sometimes I know it does feel like you can feel numb like in these feelings, and that's even harder almost than like feeling like despair and like depression. But I would say like definitely once you have an instrument and you have that connection, like when you just put it in proximity to you and just mess around, like I feel like that's when something new will flow through you and the energy will start moving, and you might create something new entirely.
Yeah, I found with creative blocks that basically I restrict myself. If I have creative blocks, I go the opposite direction and I actually put more restrictions on myself. So for example, I'll just choose one synthesizer rather than have like 200 of them to choose from. And I'll just choose one and I'll go, you can only use this.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then it's like, or if you're on your guitar, it's like, you can't use your left hand. You have to make the song with all open string. So it's like I'll put these like rules on myself, and then I find ways to be creative within that, like something kind of new. So that's one way I do overcome some of those creative blocks, is by putting more blocks on it in a way.
Yeah,
but,
that's awesome. That's so cool. Also, sometimes I think it just takes going into whatever you're feeling and being not judging yourself. If you're feeling like so angry, like just make an angry song. Like it doesn't have to be for anybody. It could just be for you. Like some of my best songs have come from like the deepest pain, and I'm like, now someone maybe will relate to this and heal or something, hopefully. Like
seriously, your music does. I'm absolutely like every time I hear songs like Snake Venom, I'm just like, how did you do this? Like I'm actually like just so impressed, and I'm always like, I just don't know, how did you suddenly do this? Like
I think I was in the underworld. Like it's like trying to get out.
Yeah. But like I've been in those really dark places, and I end up meeting more frustration because I can't seem to express it in the music. Like I know Aurelia yesterday, like with the singing bowl thing that happened to you, and then you expressed that frustration on the piano, and I was like so at how much that was like pure raw expression, and I was like, wow, like I felt that. But when I'm in those, anything I try to express just sounds so frustrating and almost worse to me. It's like I can't get those emotions out, and that makes me even like hate it even more, because it's like so I haven't found the answer to that. Like sometimes I feel like my pain doesn't translate very well into music sometimes, and I don't quite know.
That's when you just have to go and scream somewhere, like find go to a sound booth and be
or roar.
Maybe I'm still like holding back in some way.
Yeah, it's really interesting though, because like I paint obviously and stuff as well, and I know you do too, Christina. But like I sometimes will get blocked around painting. Like if I have a lot of heavy emotions, I can't paint. But with music, I never really experienced that. I think I did in the past, but I think like once I connected more in like really deeply to my authentic voice, it's like anytime I will go to search for it, like it will kind of be there in some form, and like feel it. So I guess like the more attuned you become and like develop a relationship with it like that, like it does keep coming. It's just like trusting that
there is an endless source there that can be tapped.
For sure.
Exactly. So it's like, but once you find that key or that way into that, it will never really go away. And
that's key or the door.
Yeah, and it's almost like maybe some doors are blocked because you're meant to go a different way and like learn a new instrument or something. It's like
absolutely. Yeah.
It's just awesome. And I'll just say one more thing about the authenticness. I feel like what helps me, because I'm so good at mimicking people that sometimes I'm like, am I mimicking this or is this coming from me? And what's helped me is just like literally doing things that I like to do. And that sounds a bit like simple, but singing songs that I want to sing in the moment, like just
that is the answer.
Like maybe it's an emo song from the 90s or whenever, like 2000 or whatever, like just you kind of find the passion again. Yeah.
That's so true. Anytime I reached, you know, really big creative blocks that I couldn't get over for a while, it helped so much to hear music where people were not having to stick by a particular structure and just going with their actual feelings. And they might just be like a piano and then they're just speaking poetry over it or something. And I go, oh, I thought I had to sing all the time. And then it's like, oh, there's another way of doing this. And it's just finding new ways of expression and not trying to basically just box yourself into the same things that other people have already done so many times.
Yeah, and balancing that, the feminine like creativeness and then the masculine like structure of producing, like
exactly,
it's tricky sometimes. And then, you know, that's
yeah,
why we
because
ask
I
for
like
help.
to make music that also can be appealed to and can be heard too, because of course we want our music to be heard as well and experienced. So there is that balance point, and I tend to basically have some music that I just create just specifically 100% for myself and just like whatever I feel in the moment, and other ones where I try to make it a bit more like condensed and just like actually make it in a format that will be understood, not for other people, but just with the awareness that like I want it to be actually more easily accessible, I suppose. Yeah.
Makes sense. Helmi has a question. I'm just going to unmute him.
Oh, cool.
Okay, you're on the air.
Hey, Helmi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so well, I guess I have two questions. One is about the course. So is it going to be like streamed video, or is it going to be like live or right?
Yeah, so it's going to be held through MeWe.com, which is a free site similar to Facebook. And it's private though, which is good. And I looked it up online. It's owned by some American company. And a lot of conspiracy theorists go hang out there, which is pretty cool. They have some cool groups on there. So yeah, it's free to sign up. So once you sign up, I send you the link. And there's an intro video right away. And then every week I'm sending out a video with like meditations and exercises. So for 3 weeks, you'll watch the video and then do the exercise, and then we'll be posting. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do the channeling exercises too. We're going to be posting our songs in the group and kind of getting, you know, just some feedback and like helping each other in a sacred space and of non-judgment, right? Because it's scary being that vulnerable. Like if you've never sung before or song wrote or light language, whatever. Yeah, so we're there to create sacred space, help each other out. And then at the end of 3 weeks, we're going to come together for like a ceremony. So I think, you know, we can open it up and, you know, maybe we can all share some stuff. We'll talk about it in the community. Does that help?
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to know is I kind of like to make some music. I just find it cool how I can just make music on the computer. Now I don't have a lot of like physical actual instruments with me. The only thing I have is like a very small MIDI keyboard. But I was thinking, like, when I would want to make some music and thinking, oh, okay, I want to make this maybe nice ambient music. Like, say I have an idea of what I want to make, and then I just open my, digital audio workstation, and then it's like, what am I gonna do? And then when I'm actually there, it's like I'm kind of stuck. Like, what do I actually start with? And it takes a while.
Anyone want to kind of answer that? Maybe Jeremy is really good at producing. You want to
Yeah,
answer?
I would like, that's kind of what I was saying before when I actually restrict myself to less. So like that's like, to me, that's actually an advantage point to have less sometimes. And I would just start with literally any note at all, literally anything. And just once, even if it's literally just one note repeated over and over again, and then as it starts to like try to find a melody or something that goes over that, or just basically build from nothing. And just, but yeah, I mean, maybe this is presumptuous to assume that anyone could just suddenly do that. I don't know. But I just think like if you just kind of get in the momentum of like being free and just pressing anything until something seems to catch your attention, and it's almost like it's like you start to hear something that you could develop it into. But it's a very difficult thing to know how it happens. It's almost it is a form of magic. I mean, it happens naturally if you spend enough time with it. But maybe also if you have like a vision in your head of something, like some kind of something that you want to create. Like if you're envisioning yourself in space in a spaceship, and you want to make sounds that remind you of what it's like to be inside that spaceship, then that can help you to like look for sounds that like will remind you of that vision. So you could also like have a vision that helps to set you on course of where to go.
Yeah, and I'll just have one thing to say, maybe two. What I like to do when you can start with a melody, that's a great way, or maybe even just a simple drum beat, and you don't have to make it, you can find loops, just so you have like a beat or a metronome, and then you can just create the melody over it. You can start writing, just over the beat. Like that's kind of how I build. But you never know how it's going to come through. And like Jeremy said, maybe you have a vision and you just want to take people on a journey, and you're just like, well, what would it sound like to be a dragon going through a cave and then like seeing some crystals or something, like, it's like,
like that gets exciting right away, and you're like, okay, how can I make sounds that go with that? It's fun.
And then once you feel it, you're like, oh, I feel it, and then you go a little bit deeper, you go a little bit deeper, and then like you're entering that world. It helps sometimes to be, do whatever you have to do to leave your ego. That's what I would say, behind for a little bit.
Cool ideas.
Any more questions?
No, you answered my questions. Thanks.
Okay. I hope we'll see you in the community. It's kind of like Interstoria, but like better and music.
Oh my gosh, I remember Interstoria. Does that still exist?
No, it got hacked, and I just like got sick of.
I remember, I was a member of that.
Yeah.
I just forgot about that.
Yeah, I was just like, I went to a dark place. I'm like, I'm done with the spirit world. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm okay. Hopefully, like, it was a lot to upkeep, and
it would be a lot, but it was really cool.
But I think I was talking to someone about how this is kind of neat because it's not so open, and people are going to be this is like an intensive we're creating, so everyone's like going to put the energy in, and it's going to be like a really awesome
I love this vision that you have it with like the triangle of air signs, and then like kind of these outward circles that are just building energy. It's beautiful. I love that.
Like I worked with the Arcturians a lot. This is where some people are going to be like, okay, I'm turning this off. But I'm reading this book called We the Arcturians are connecting to the Arcturians or something, and their symbol is a triangle with a circle around it. And when I contacted you and Aurelia, I wasn't thinking about the symbol, but I was like, oh, that's the triangle, and then people who join will be the circle, and then we're gonna like create this torus field vortex, which is
that's amazing.
I
saw that. Like I love the way you work. You're always working within zodiacs, astrology. Like everything always has like a structure behind it, and it's like you're using people in this way that is able to like fit all of these mathematical geometrical shapes. And I just think that's amazing that there's this higher vision behind it all too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know when I started it, but I think it's all gonna come through. I think we're gonna receive so many codes. We're gonna just be like, "Hi," the vibes. Anybody have any other thoughts? Or I'm just really like grateful for the connection. I'm feeling happy.
Me too.
Me too.
I'm so glad that you actually did come up with this idea. I was actually playing music at the time. Like I was just like jamming on guitar, and I hadn't played it for a long time. I was at somebody else's house, and I just saw a guitar, then I picked it up, and I just started filming and just like going crazy on the guitar. And like while I was doing that, it felt like all these portals were opening up, and then you messaged me like completely out of the blue, like, hey, you want to do this thing? It was great for me.
Our higher selves were talking somehow.
So, it was very divine. So I do have really good feelings for this, and I think I can see it really growing. I can imagine that these connections are going to we're probably going to come up with many ideas throughout those 4 weeks that will grow into places we can't even imagine right now.
Yeah, and when COVID ends, like I was always wanting to do art collective, music collective, but I thought I would be doing it in the physical world.
Oh yeah.
But for now, that's not that possible. So when COVID
Right.
ends, maybe we could host like a retreat or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yes.
It's
Oh, that'd be
exciting.
so good.
It
I
would
can
be.
totally-
And it's not that hard. I love planning things. It wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, we can achieve it.
We just like,
I've always wanted to do that.
yeah, like where could we travel to though? You know, like what would be the central place? We'll have to figure that out when.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I'm open.
Oh yeah, for anybody who's still watching this, the recording, Aurelia is from Scotland. Jeremy is from New Zealand, and I'm from the magical forests of Canada.
I still haven't been to Canada. I'm really like I've heard
we're in
that,
a triangle.
Yeah. Because like I'm amazed how similar Scotland looks to New Zealand when I see like Aurelia sent me all this footage for that heart to heart music video we did, and like when you just put it all together, you can barely tell the difference.
It's so beautiful. I think we should all share the nature from our lands when we're doing the ancestor week. Like the trees here talk to me on a regular basis. Like they're good.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I'll just stop the recording. So thank you guys, and
thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to connecting, and you can sign up for the Academy 50% off end of January 31st, or you can ask Aurelia or Jeremy for a discount, so it's 70% off. There's payment plans. If you want to join, don't worry about anything. We can make it work. If you feel called in your heart to join, that's the most important thing. We're looking for genuine people, right? Okay. Okay, bye.
Thank you.